what if I told you that you could maintain your car? It doesn't work because I can't pull it up very far. So it's just like, I bet you didn't realize that it only took 30 minutes a month to maintain your car. Here's how. So, we all know that we're supposed to maintain our cars. You buy it, you spend a lot of money on it, so you want it to last and to actually do the thing that you bought it for. You got a lot of stuff to do. I see you out there, you hustling, grinding, getting the work done. You also might want to do something else in your life besides work and work on your car. You can take care of all of your car's maintenance in not very much time at all. That includes cyclical maintenance, the stuff that you have to keep doing regardless, things like oil changes, and also more long-term maintenance, checking out for things that could go wrong in the future. You can take care of all of this stuff in only 32 minutes a month. It's not very long. Literally, if you just skipped one episode of a TV show, you'd be good. 32 minutes a month, that's like a minute a day. Although you can't really split it up into that way. But we'll get into that part. So, what does that actually look like? Let's get into it. I'm going to start out first by going over a summary of all the things you'll have to do, and then afterwards we'll go over each individual step to cover all of the car's maintenance you'll need to take care of. First of all, every month you'll take care of a few checks. You'll check your tire pressure, you'll check your oil levels, and you'll check your hoses and belts. Every 3 months, you'll take care of an oil change. Every 6 months, you'll end up rotating your tires and inspecting your brakes. Once a year, you'll replace your air filter and your brake pads and your windshield wiper blades. Finally, every 4 years, you can replace your hoses. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Starting with tires. Once a month, you're going to want to check your tire pressure. This will take about 1 minute per tire, so if we round up, it turns out to be about 5 minutes total. And that's if you want to be specific about it. Personally, I don't check my tire pressure every month, but every month I'll look at the tires and see if they're kind of flat. And if you have TPMS, like tire pressure monitoring systems in your cars, like most cars after the year 2009, their car will just tell you if you're low on tire pressure. So that saves you some time too. Was that true, 2009? 2008. But if you were actually going to be good about it and check your tires every month, it's 5 minutes a month. It's very easy to check your tire pressure. Basically, there's different tire pressure gauges. The cheap ones, all you do is unscrew the cap on your tire. You press down on it. It'll let a little bit of air out of your tire, and then it'll pop out and tell you what the pressure of the tire is. You're good. Then you can just compare that with the tire pressure your tire should be at. Most tires have them written right on the outside. Some of them don't, but you can always find it in your owner's manual. The actual specific tire pressure that you have is going to vary car to car. It's going to vary based on where you live, vary based on what kind of tires you have, but you can find that stuff out pretty easily. If you don't have enough air in any specific tires, you can just air them up. That's pretty easy. There are plenty of places that'll let you do it for free. Me, I have a air compressor, so I can just do it at home. But either way, just fill them up. Bada bing. Takes a couple of seconds. If there's too much air in your tires, what's happening? What's going on? There's no fairies that come in and put air into your tires, so you probably put too much air in there. Don't do that, but it's actually not that big of a deal. You can just use the air pressure gauge that you use to check your air pressure and just let air out of your tire until it measures the right amount. Easy. The last thing you want to do on your tires is you're going to want to rotate them every 6 months. Now, you can make an appointment at the tire shop and do it, and that'll take about 15 minutes. And so that averages out to be about 2.5 minutes a month. You can also do this yourself, although it would take longer. All you're doing when you're rotating your tires is moving where they're mounted. So, for example, you could take your front driver's side tire and move it over to your front passenger side and rotate them all clockwise. This is just so that they all wear evenly. So there's nothing magical about it, nothing fancy. You can do it yourself to save some money, but you'll spend a little bit more time. So, let's talk about oil. You should check your oil once a month. This is pretty simple. You literally can just take your dipstick and see what it looks like. If you're weird, you could taste your oil, but why would you do that? That's gross. But yeah, you can just look at the oil. The blacker the oil, the dirtier it is. If your oil is getting darker prematurely, that can be a sign that something worse is going on, so just keep an eye on that stuff. Usually, your oil shouldn't be getting too dark until it's time for a new oil change. Also, you're going to want to check your dipstick to make sure that you have enough oil, because your car could be leaking or burning oil, and you don't want to run out of oil too soon. All of that, checking your oil is literally going to take you 1 minute a month. You pop the hood, you pull the dipstick out. Boom. Oil changes are one of the most important parts of maintenance for your car. You don't want to forget about it. I've definitely forgotten before, but it's a good way to quickly kill kill your engine. You can stay on top of that stuff pretty easily if you use Oil Change Commander. Oil Change Commander is a service that'll look up your car by VIN number and then just send you reminder emails when it's time to get your oil changed. It also will save you the hassle of having to look up every time what kind of oil you need, because I can't remember every time. But you can get an email every 2-3 months or more often if you change your oil more often, just to let you know when to change your oil and what oil you need. Each oil change will take about 45 minutes. Every time I change my oil, I feel like it should be faster, but then it always ends up rounding out to be about 45 minutes. So for our calculation, we're going to count it as that. If you change your oil 3 times a month, don't do that. If you change your oil every 3 months, then that works out to be about 15 minutes a month, averaged across the year. So, windshield wipers. Technically, you're supposed to inspect them once a month. It takes about 1 minute. You're literally just making sure that there's no damage or anything to the windshield wiper, which might cause streaking or other issues. Usually, I just inspect my windshield wipers as I use them and see if they're streaking or if they have any other issues, because it's not that big of a deal, and then just change them then. But you can't inspect them. When it comes time to actually change your windshield wipers, which should be about once a year, it's really easy. Takes 15 minutes, so that averages out to be 40 seconds a month. Air filter. So you should change your air filter on average about once a year. Usually I just check my air filter when I'm doing my oil change, because it's right there under the hood, and if it looks really dirty, it's a good time to replace it. Otherwise, just replace it once a year. Actually changing your air filter doesn't take very much time at all. If you were to do it by itself, it'd be probably about 10 minutes, but if you do it at the same time you're doing an oil change, which makes sense, they line up, then it's going to take you about 1 minute. You literally take the shroud off, you take the filter out, you put the new filter in, bam. If you end up changing your air filter while you're changing your oil, it's probably going to take you about 1 minute out of the entire year. If you change it by itself, then it's probably going to take about 10 minutes total, which averages out to be about 1 minute per month. So, brakes. You should check your brakes about once every 6 months. This is pretty easy if you also rotate your own tires, because both of them are on a 6-month schedule, so you can just do it at the same time. When you take off a tire to rotate it, you can just check the brakes. Overall, the whole checking your brakes is going to average out to be about 5 minutes every time you do it, so that's 80 seconds a month, something like that. So you're going to want to replace your brake pads once every, this one varies a lot, so it's between 10 and 20,000 miles or 10 and 20 months. So this is why you're going to do your brake inspections, to make sure that you can change them before it becomes too big of an issue. Check the brake pads themselves physically to see how low they're wearing. When it's time to actually replace the brake pads, that takes about 4 hours total. So if we average that out across all the months, it comes out to be about 3.5 minutes a month. So when you're checking other things in your car, like your oil, you should also check your belts just to be safe, your belts and your hoses. You should do belt inspections every month, which is the same as your oil. You're just checking to make sure there's not any tears or stretches. The problem is that if a belt tears, it usually means serious damage to your car. So you want to make sure that you're on top of that, because after the fact, it's kind of hard to deal with. Replace your belts once every 6 months or so. It only takes about 15 minutes or so to replace the belt, so that works out to be about 2.5 minutes a month. You're going to want to check your hoses once every 3 months. Hoses aren't as big of a deal as your belts. They're not going to cause as much trouble, although if you have a coolant hose come loose, that's pretty bad. The car could overheat. You're just going to want to, again, check for tears, check to see if anything's coming loose, if you got bad leaks or anything. So yeah, you're going to want to check your hoses every 3 months just to be safe, but you don't need to replace them that often. You're only going to need to replace them once every 4 years. It's about 15 minutes to do the replacement, so it averages out to be about 30 seconds a month. If we take all this stuff together, we get drum roll, please. Don't do a drum roll. We already talked about it at the beginning. It takes 32 minutes a month total if we do all this stuff, and like we talked about during the video, there's some of the stuff you don't necessarily have to take that long on. Ultimately, it's not going to take you 32 minutes every month, because you're not doing these things every single month. But if you average it out, it's not very much time. It's easy to want to put off all the car maintenance because it seems like a pain, but every time I go to actually do it, I realize, oh, this actually isn't that bad. So if you can set aside about 6 hours a year to work on your car's maintenance, you'll do a lot to keep extending the life of your car. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Comment down below to let us know what you thought. We have other social media. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us at our website, bigred.media. Thanks for watching.